Welcome to the Holistic Career Change Podcast, one-stop shop for everyone feeling stuck in their career and who are looking to identify, change, and succeed at their new fulfilling work. I'm your host, Vilma. Let's go. Hi, lovers. How are you? I hope you're so well and that you're enjoying yourselves wherever you are. It's pretty funny. A few episodes ago, I mentioned about my summer blues, which has made some of you laugh. So thank you for the messages you guys sent. Actually, to my own surprise, the summer is not going so bad so far, at least. And I'm enjoying the warm weather and it's a little bit too hot, to be honest. It's over 30 degrees Celsius this last couple of weeks, but I am continuing to practice presence as much as possible and just accept what is. So it's a beautiful, beautiful practice for me personally. Anyway, so in the last episode, we spoke about this rather awkward liminal stage of your switch when you are very much in between, and how to then address it when people will be inevitably asking you for status updates about your career change and your life. So we talked about how to remain respectful to them, how not to get defensive, not to over-explain, not to downplay this transformational stage of your life, and at the same time, provide them with an answer that is informative enough and does not invite too many follow-up questions, because we can be very sensitive to those during that stage. Because let's be honest, you're really just doing your best you can and you're figuring out things for yourself. You don't have all the answers yet, let alone answers for other people. So you're in general not feeling too secure with your decision-making process. So these questions may actually feel intrusive and may throw you off and slow down the overall transition journey. And this is also true for those who have already made a shift, yet they're at the beginning stages of their career or business. And while you may feel good about your decision intrinsically, internally, you may not yet have the full clarity about the next stage or your next project. And then going through the process that I've shared and having those answers crystallized will really help you embrace those social interactions, which we're going to get more of this summer, as opposed to dreading them. Like, I know many of you may feel like that right now, which is just trying to avoid the situations or avoid the questions altogether and just literally foregoing social gatherings altogether. So if you haven't done this work and you haven't gone through the process, I'm sharing these in the last episode. Make sure you go back and complete them. I share a series of questions that will help you write out your career change story in a more linear fashion, and then you will be able to streamline it, reduce it into a couple of sentences that you can always have up your sleeve, your go-to answers. Then people end up asking you those questions because they will ask. You and I, we both know it. So that was the reminder that I had for you. The first reminder. The second reminder is, if you are currently in the middle of your shift or you're still considering a career change and you're not really sure which direction to go, but you feel like you're ready to roll up your sleeves and go all in to this change process, make sure that you find me on Instagram at vilma.usaite. That's if you're not following me already. What I have been doing lately is sharing a lot of content on stories on my close friends list, which, if some of you are not familiar with, is what I lovingly call my VIP tribe, or everyone who opted in to have more access to myself and have access to very specific in-depth content in regards to different stages of career change, the mindset, the putting together a transition plan, leveraging your current position to negotiate the best terms of resignation, crystallizing your next move, anything really related to you choosing a career of fulfillment. And in the coming couple of weeks, I will be sharing amazing content, but only on my close friends list stories. I will be answering to all and any questions you may have, and I will go in depth with them all free of charge, of course. So if this is a sort of support you feel like you may need right now, make sure you send me a message on Instagram and let me know you'd like to join my close friends list. And I will make sure to add you there because I would need to add you into that list. And then every time you will see a green circle around my stories, around my profile picture, that's a cue for you that I have added some hot, fresh tips or questions for you. And that will be especially targeted to support you guys throughout your career change process. So DM me to ask to be added, and do it now so you don't forget, because like I said, for the coming couple of weeks, I will be taking you through my signature process from A to Z. And if you follow it and do the quote unquote love work that I give to you, at the end of those 3 weeks, you can walk out with a career clarity and transition plan sketched out. So don't miss it. The reason why I'm doing it a little bit more exclusively and why I'm adding it to a close friends list is because not everyone from my followers are actually going through a career change right now. So I really wanted to make sure that that content is really targeted at those who are in the midst of it and they really need that extra support. Okay, so now that I shared the reminders, I'd like to move to today's topic, which is inviting you to dream authentic. Because we often hear people say, dream big, dream far, dream wide. And I completely agree with it. I really think we need to dream out of the box. But today, I want to invite you to dream authentic, to dream beyond a new career. Because on the contrary to what it may look like at the beginning of this career switch journey, changing your career is actually just the top of the iceberg. Switching career is not just finding yourself in a new role in the new industry or different employment status with a different tax code. Oh no. It's about you taking a courageous step to accept yourself, to embody your authenticity and actualize the gifts and the experiences that you've had by turning it into your life's work. It's about giving yourself that permission to just F it and finally be you, and allowing yourself to try, to play, to test, to get results, to not get results, to fluctuate, and still have your own back all throughout this process. It's about dropping as many labels as possible and releasing all of your wonderful weirdness and uniqueness to the world. And when you open up the door to the career change, like sincerely open up the door and the windows to it, what you will also find that all the other areas of your life will pretty naturally get a facelift, so to speak. And some of the guests that I had on the podcast already said that. Like, I know that I always laugh about it. I probably said it 1,000,000 times already, which is I've seen so many times how single people, when they embrace this career change and when they step into their authenticity, they usually find a romantic partner as well, even when they were single for years before they did this work, right? So it's inviting that completely new, different energy in. So it's not just self-concept that will be changing. It will also change the way you dress, the way you eat, the way you take care of yourself, your relationships will shift. And your lifestyle in general will finally be open for adjusting and molding into something you've maybe never even thought it would be possible. And the reason why I wanted to dedicate an episode to it is because I see this over and over and over again. When we get overworked, when we numb ourselves out at the career that is out of alignment, and when someone asks you about your dream life, we will say something along the lines of, oh, if I had a magic wand, my dream life would be like laying on a beach in Bora Bora and drinking pina coladas forever. That's my dream life, Vilma. What do you mean I need to work on a career change? Well, newsflash. No, that is not your dream life. You're just tired of doing this unfulfilling work and leading a life where you either completely shoved away and stepped on your true desires and your calling, or maybe you have also been putting others first. So while Bora Bora lifestyle may seem like dream come true for some of you right now, I can assure you at some point, you'll find yourself being bored out of your mind. This is not an if question, it's a when question, because that lifestyle is just not sustainable. I know I'd be bored in probably 2 or 3 days. Some of you who are running with an empty tank already may need 2 weeks or 2 months to recover. But when you have rested and slept and ate and enjoyed and celebrated and danced and ate again, the inevitable question will arise. What's next? What now? And for those of you who've been postponing their inner work by traveling, calling out all my serial travelers here, you have found that yourself. I have found that myself when I was moving countries, and I would stay in a country for several months, and I would have this honeymoon period, and I would be ecstatic, and I would think like, finally I found my calling and I feel like home. And then several months in, the same questions would kick in, the same anxiety would kick in, and be like, oh my God, I think I need to move to a new country. Maybe this is not the right country for me, right? Always looking for those answers outside of us. But really, wherever you go, there you are. I'm pretty sure, again, I said it many times, even on this podcast. So as per usual, I'm inviting you to pre-think. And today I'd like you to explore what your ideal, sustainable, nourishing, empowering lifestyle would look like for no one else but you. And it could look severely, dramatically different for each and every one of you if you truly let your freak out and if you truly reviewed the needs and wants that you have. That maybe you have never even allowed in, like that little poem that I read for you, The Bluebird by Charles Bukowski, which is, listen, I let the bluebird out sometimes at night when everyone is sleeping, but really I don't let it see the day of light. Because you may think that is shameful, or you may think that people will judge you for it, or you may think that taking naps in the middle of the day is outrageous, right? Whatever limiting beliefs that we have around our needs, I'm pretty sure a lot of them we have suppressed. And I'm the first one to admit I used to do that as well. So if you don't know what life will fill you up, what life will feel good to you, how will you know when you get there? Right? I do understand that, go with the flow. And I'm a big, big advocate for go with the flow. But at the same time, before we let ourselves go with that flow, we need to set direction a little bit. We need to understand what we're about and what makes us tick. Now, again, another disclaimer is not to say that this vision that you're going to be crafting today won't change. It will evolve together with you, but having the rough idea of where you're headed at is fundamental and healthy, and it offers safety and stability for your nervous system. It may be, a pretty straightforward process for you, but like I said, a lot of us have forgotten how to dream. We have created our lives within this narrow band of what we see available around us without opening up our mind, putting that dreamer hat on, and really sincerely allowing our imagination to run free. I remember at my last corporate job, I had a colleague of mine who was, a little bit tad older, yet we just instantly clicked. You know how sometimes you meet someone and you're like, I like you, I get you, let's have a coffee. And at that point in time, I was already working on my, transition process and studying coaching, and I was full of, coaching, quote unquote, heresies. And, I would talk about it to everyone who would listen. And she found it all very fascinating. I think it was the first time she really had access to a very different and for her fresh perspective of what's available in life. And when I would share with her the dreams and aspirations that I had, she would just sit there in awe, listen to me holding her breath as if I was telling her the most elaborate, magical fairy tale. And it was just a little old me sharing my plans and hopes for the future. And when I would tease her about it, how she was just listening to me as if it was like a thriller movie, she'd say, Vilma, listening to you, I just realized I have stopped dreaming many, many years ago when, my husband left me with my son and life hit hard. And ever since then, I had to care for him. And I was so focused on survival. I don't know how to dream anymore. That's why when you talk about dreams, I just find it so inspiring, right? And when she told me that, that was kind of equal amounts endearing and heartbreaking for me to hear. So I gave her a hug and I offered her to play a dreaming game with me. So every morning when we'd meet at the office, when we were having our morning coffee. And as you know, those of you who work or used to work in the office, having morning coffee with your colleagues, it's a sacred ritual. Right? So we'd play this game where I'd ask her where she wants to travel today. So we'd having coffee and I'll be like, so where do you want to travel today? And at first she was a little bit confused by this game, and her travel destinations were very reasonable and very simple and attainable and even humble, I would say. So she would say like, well, if I had a day off, I would just like go to this like cafe next to my place and I would order a drink and I would just read my book for the whole day. And it seemed to her like such an outrageous dream because she worked in the corporate for years. She barely had any holidays and things like that. And for her, it was just like, wow, like that would be so naughty if I did that. And, and we would continue playing this game, except that every time to almost like poke her a little bit, when it was my time to tell her where I would travel if I could, I would come up with these really elaborate, detailed, random destinations. Sometimes I would even Google pictures and I would email her them. And I would, every time I would say it, like I would see her eyes would light up. And she would almost like with every day, her understanding of what's available would be expanded because she never even let her mind go there, right? And I'd say something like, oh, today I want to travel to the tea plantations in Sri Lanka, and I'm going to stay at this like amazing hillside hotel, and it has like this beautiful terrace overlooking at the tea plantation, and I will be drinking tea and listening to the birds chirping away while I enjoy like this local atmosphere and I just drink this view and this weather and all of that. And I would give a lot of details for her, right? And it was a pretty random game, but I enjoyed it. I've always been a dreamer, and I felt like for her, it was such a beautiful, expansive exercise and game that she was like really looking forward to it every morning. Sometimes I would see her come in early and she'd be like, Vilma, I made some coffees. Let's go travel together. And even now, if we bump into each other, she sometimes lovingly tells me that how she'll always be thankful to me because I taught her how to dream again. And I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet and be like, oh my God, I'm so amazing. I teach people how to dream. But, for some of you, it may sound like a very cringe story, but I think it's a very illustrative story. Is that a word? I'm pretty sure it's a word. I mispronounced it, but you know what I mean. It's a very great example because if you look at your life from the day that you were born, it really all is just a long process of training. We get trained, both the valuable survival skills in the world, and inevitably we also, get or inherit or get taught false thought models and, that general indoctrination process that keeps us tame and keeps us under control and a little bit scared and moderately ambitious enough to support ourselves and create a comfortable living conditions and pay the taxes to the government, but not ambitious enough and sharp enough to question the system. Okay. And I'm being as diplomatic as I can here because I can go into my conspiracy theories and talk about it for hours. So I'm not going to do that. But we're first taught that at school. Then if we go to move on to higher education institutions, then we get sort of trained and molded again at the workplace. And then we have our own families and if we don't stop and don't get conscious, we just rinse and repeat these same models and follow the same manuals we were brought up with. And this is how this generational indoctrination is carried forward with people who don't stop and don't get awareness. I'm not throwing any shade. We all do that. A lot of us, my friends who are parents, they tell me that if they don't get conscious, sometimes they'll hear themselves say the words that the mother used to say to them, or like they would get upset with their kids and they would literally, do the same thing or like slam the door and leave the room like the father used to do, right? We don't even know how much of it we have absorbed. And we're just playing it out automatically without sometimes realizing it. However, one of my favorite quotes is, tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. And I invite you here to not take anything for granted, neither your inherent worth and uniqueness, nor the way you think you should be leading your life. I invite you to critically review, analyze, address, and if necessary, change things, change behavioral patterns, adopt things and beliefs that are supporting of you. So first and foremost, we need to work on giving ourselves that permission to be and then a permission to do. When I made my career switch, way pre-COVID, I felt like I entered this world of magic where adults should not even be allowed in, because for the first time in my adult life, I could set my own hours. I could literally analyze my productivity and create my schedule around my unique needs and wants. I sincerely, for the longest time, didn't think that I was even allowed to do that. And let me be real honest here, because I didn't do the work that I will share with you today. It took me a really long time to find an approach that worked for me and adopt it without feeling guilty. Because I still very much operated in that employee mentality that we need to sit down and say work for 8 hours straight. Bullcrap. That's what it is. So whenever I would find myself having one of those days where I felt like I had a fantastic, perfect day, I'd literally sit myself down at the end of the day and would analyze it and dissect to understand what elements throughout the course of the day gave me a sense of fulfillment, energy, and at the same time, peace. Because I'm a believer that the best excitement, the best energy is the one with a lot of potency on the inside and a lot of peace and harmony on the inside. It has to be both. We live in the duality and we need to feed ourselves that duality. So what I found, accepted and integrated for myself, is the following. I'm going to share with you a couple of things. Just again, they're not going to work for you. This is uniquely me and what I learned and I allowed myself to embrace. First of all, I'm a morning person through and through. I'm fascinated by morning. The height of my productivity is in the first half of the day, usually between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. I can be angry. I can be annoyed by it. I can resist it. I did it for all of my corporate career. But the truth is, my energy in the afternoon is scattered. I'm in pain if I need to sit down and do work that requires a lot of focus. So what I did, I started getting up early between 5 and 6 a.m. and going to bed earlier. And that's when I feel the healthiest, the sharpest, and the most rested. So I planned the work that required thinking and creativity in the morning, and I would run my errands or plan meetings in the afternoon. What I also learned is that I love taking naps in the afternoon. Like, that feeds me. That is healthy for my nervous system. Also, what I realized is that I was completely disregarding my feminine cycle. Just like with the day where I have energy highs and slumps, it's the same with my monthly cycle, where there are days in the month where I'm energetic and I operate in more masculine, doing energy, right? Because of certain hormones in my system. And there will be days, especially just before my period, where I just want to go in, I want to stay home, I want to be quiet and introspective. So this is where, I plan the review of my month, where I plan kind of more analytical, introspective work for myself. And guess what? I have gave myself permission to even plan my projects around my cycle. And for some of you, it may sound completely outrageous, but let me tell you, that gives me so much ease and peace to be working with my body versus pushing against my hormonal cycles. The current world that we live in was created for males. It was created based on the assumption that we will have the same amount of energy and focus available for us. They are not controlled or affected by hormones in the same way that the female body is. But why do we spend all these days fighting against it, denying it, resisting it? And by the way, I'm no expert at it. Like, I'm planning to even go deeper into this work because I see just how much I benefit when I give myself permission to flow with my hormones. And it's almost like our hormones will dictate which phase of activity we need to be in. Just like we have 4 seasons, say, well, at least where I live, each season has its own tasks. Like, so when you're in winter, you're not going to be planting seeds. You're going to be reviewing and preparing for spring. So the same with my cycle, that's how I see it. There are days where I will be just analyzing and planning and prepping, and there will be days where I'll be out there doing the work in the arena. But it doesn't mean that I can expect of my body and my energy levels to be productive in the same way 4 weeks straight. I may not like it, and I used to hate it, because if you know or you don't know, I'm a recovering type A, workaholic who is an overachiever. I used to hate that fact that I had hormones and that I would have cramps and I would have low energy. I would sit in guilt and shame. I had to work through that. But once I let this work in, once I embrace it, oh my God, it's so liberating. What I also realized is that I'm a sprint runner, not a marathon runner. So I work the best in short bursts and I take a lot of breaks versus how some people can sit down for hours and be submerged in the work. I can't. Again, this is something that the corporate environment was not supporting, because I had to sit down and stay in my seat for 8 hours, whether I liked it or not, with a few breaks for coffee and lunch. That was jail for me. So what I do now, I allow myself to do some work and then I go work out or do a little dance or a stretch and then I go back to work. That's why the Pomodoro technique does wonders for me. For those of you who don't know, it's sort of working in increments of 25 minutes and then taking 5 minutes break. There are timers out there. I have a physical timer. There are online timers. You can just Google Pomodoro technique. And for me personally, I recognize that it keeps me focused and challenged and it keeps things moving for me, which I need. What I also learned, which by the way, I fight it for a long time and I still sometimes find like I need some boundaries there. I need my evenings off. My evenings should be sacred for me. I need time to cook dinner. I need time to, go out. I need to socialize. I need to connect with my partner. I need to unwind. I need to review the day. This is a very quiet and sacred almost time where it's almost like a ritual for me. And when I find myself skipping it, I will get up scattered in the morning and my energy will be all over the place. I need it, but again, I didn't allow myself. I didn't think I deserved to take time off, especially when you're building your own practice, when you're starting out. There's a lot of hustle energy out there, right? Also, I learned that I need to travel ever so often. I learned that I need some sort of human interaction almost every day. And I guess that's a learning that a lot of us had during COVID. And I don't mean the partner or family members, but someone outside of your immediate circle. I need it. I'm an extroverted introvert. Like if it's the certain amount of social interaction throughout the course of the day, it gives me energy. This is another big learning for me. I need to be in nature daily. For me personally, it's the best healing and nourishing dessert for my nervous system. If I skip a few days, or God forbid, I skip a week when it's busy, and I don't spend time in nature. When I say nature, I need to sit on the nature. I need to take my shoes off. I need to feel the earth. I need to connect. I need to listen to the sounds. I don't listen to the music when I'm out in nature. If I don't do that, I will feel less grounded. I will feel irritable. I will feel scattered. It's like daily bread for me, spending time in nature. I also learned that I need to move daily, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a super sweaty, intense HIIT workout. It's dancing or yoga or hike or swim, anything. My body likes to be moved. These two things, by the way, I think they're pretty universal. I guess it's just the amount and the intensity of each of them and how often you need to do that will differ across people, but I really think those two are pretty important. I also learned that I need to do something creative several times a week. I paint, or I redecorate, or I move furniture around, or I knit. I need a creative outlet. I also learned that I need to eat greens daily. I don't have to. I just learned that I feel the best when I do. Whether it's spinach, whether it's kale, whether it's just a salad, I need to include that in my diet. That's when I feel the healthiest, the lightest, the most energetic, the most nourished. Now notice all of the things that I mentioned, that I listed here. There are more. These are the things that, I need, and I need now. And it may change as I change as well. And your list will look very, very different. But I'm very aware, because I did this work and this analysis, I'm very aware what elements need to be included in my day and in my week for me to feel like I had that perfect time where I lay my head on the pillow and I say, that was a fucking good day. I loved this day. Thank you. And notice also at least my needs and requirements for perfect day are simple. They're no Bora Bora. But if I manage to include all of them, let me tell you, at the end of the day, like I said, or at the end of the week, I feel like $1 million. Or maybe, million euros, I probably should say. So when you will be transitioning in your career, you will too be invited to re-envision what your perfect day would look like for you. Go back to the drawing board and analyze. Perhaps you have even never done this work before, like it was for me. Perhaps you've just been falling prey to the expectations you thought you need to meet to be considered a functioning, responsible human being. So this is where I want you to reclaim that power and give yourself permission to live a nourishing, self-loving, emotionally and energetically luxurious life. And financially, if this is what you think you need. But on the contrary to what many people think, you may find out that you don't even need to be a millionaire. And you may find out that your true self likes simple, real quality things and activities. So your love work for this week is this perfect day exercise. Now, if you've been around in the self-development world, you're not new to this type of exercise. You may have done this before, but please, again, don't underestimate this exercise. While it may sound simple, this is a very potent and very revealing exercise because you will get almost as much value from noticing what these questions trigger and unveil in you as you get from giving actual answers. If you find that you're stalling or you are skipping questions, I really want you to pay attention to those. I want you to ask you what is behind them and why don't you allow yourself to go there, right? And then go deeper into them. So this exercise, like I said, is called the Perfect Day exercise. It's about styling exactly how you would like your life and career to look like at this point in time. As you move through the career change process, you will then be able to go back to this exercise, review it, and you may even want to make some adjustments because you'll gather all the data and you'll realize like, oh, I thought that I need to have A, B, C, D, but actually I don't, right? Like, for instance, I thought that I wanted to work 5 days a week. And what I realized is that I get tired midweek. Almost every Wednesday, I will be taking some time off. So what I did then, seeing that there was a pattern, I incorporated at least half a day off on Wednesday, whether it would be first half or second half, depending on my sessions. I would incorporate that because I knew that that was a point in time where I need to kind of step away and just do me, whatever it is that I will feel like doing on that day. So don't be afraid to dream authentic here. This is your chance to get really honest and really creative. And when answering these questions, it would also be a very good idea to add in how you feel when you answer them. If, say, in your ideal day, you are the CEO of your multinational empire with a huge team, perhaps you want to feel influential and you want to feel like you're making a difference. How is it that you want to feel? Or perhaps your ideal day is a slower pace and you would rather feel calm and relaxed and you are able to work at your leisure. Like, I want you to add those little notes as well, because different people will thrive in different environments. So this exercise is a good way to figure out what kind of life you're suited to if you haven't yet worked it out. The idea of this exercise is also to serve as the ultimate goal of something to aim for, what a typical day could consist of for you. This is moving away from that outdated concept of living for the weekend and holidays and making your each and every day a celebration of you and a celebration of life. like that, I already said that when people ask me, sometimes I don't know what day it is. I need to open up my calendar because every day for me is a weekend and a work day. Every day for me is a holiday and a day where I get to do a purposeful work. I can celebrate each day because that's how I feel. So right now, this idea of the ideal day becoming reality may seem really way off for you, but it's amazing that once you actually start using the ideal day as an end goal, how quickly things can pick momentum. And I'm going to share now a few questions to help you with crafting your perfect day. And I will also add a link in the episode notes for you to download the worksheet if you'd like to do that at a more convenient time. So now the questions that I like you to think of when crafting the perfect day, I would suggest to do it in a linear fashion, which is starting from the morning, just so like your mind could organize it better. So first I want you to answer where you live. You need to write down the country, whether it's the country you're in, whether you have a dream country that you've always wanted to relocate. Then I want you to write down what the weather is like, whether there are 4 seasons, whether there's just 1 season or several seasons. Just describe what country and energy and climate that you think you'd like to be living in. Then I want you to think of what kind of house or flat do you live in. I want you to think about your ideal workspace. I want you to think about what is your ideal bedroom for you to feel nourished. For instance, for me, there are no gadgets in my bedroom, and my bedroom is very clean and simple because that's how I feel like what I need to rest. I need fresh flowers in my workspace, right? What it is for you. Then I want you to write down, who do you live with? Is it your family? Is it your current partner? Is it your new partner? Do you have any pets? Who do you live with? Then I want you to think, at what time do you think you should be waking up to have a good day, to feel productive? Like what time feels right for you to wake up rested and excited for the day? Then I want you to think, what is the first thing you would do when you would wake up? Would you have a morning ritual? Would you allow yourself to not have a morning ritual? What is it that you would need to have a good start of the day? What would you have for your breakfast? Who do you eat it with, and where would you have it? Would you like to have it outside? Do you think you prefer having your breakfast inside? Like, what is it that like lights you up and sounds super exciting for you? Then I want you to think, what do you do for work? Again, if you don't know yet, you may skip this, or maybe you'll have like instant idea of what it is that you think you'd like to do for work. If there are several things, write down several things. Then I want you to think, how many hours per day would you like to work in an ideal world? And also I want you to write when. Whether it's in the morning, whether you're a night person, you would like to work at night, how many hours and when would you like to do them? Would you like to do them in 2 separate segments? Then I want you to think, this is a bit out there question, but maybe something will come up for you, which is, what is it that you are known for? What is the one thing that people think of you when they think of your name, when it comes to your career and your reputation in general? Don't write here that I want people to think that I'm a kind person. Yeah, okay, we all want people to think that we're kind people. So for instance, if I were answering this question, I would think, well, I want people to know me for someone who helps people transition in their careers. Like, what is it that you think you'd like to be known for? Then I want you to think and write down about your network. Who is in your network? Who do you hang out with and speak with regularly? This is another huge topic, you guys, because if we are surrounded by the same people we used to surround ourselves with when we were unhappy at work, there are chances that once you transition, your people will change as well, because you will just be out of alignment and you won't have the mutual subjects to complain over anymore. Even more so, when you do this work, you will not even want to complain anymore. And you may even feel bad about sharing how much you love your work to the friends that are still stuck in the jobs that they hate. So I want you to answer, who would you like to be in your network? So for instance, when I switch, I am noticing how my network is expanding with fellow practitioners, fellow coaches, and also business owners. I have more and more business owners who are self-employed because this is what my interest is. This is where we share, the tips and our experiences and so on and so forth. So who would you like to be surrounded with? Then let's move into your lunch break. What does your lunch break look like? Do you eat alone at home with your friends or family? Do you go out? Do you do working lunches? Do you organize meetings? Then I want you to think, what other activities would you do in your day? Would you exercise? Would you have any hobbies? How would you spend your afternoon? Would you still be working, or would you like to take all of your afternoons off? If you would take them off, what would you do? Then moving into the evening, what do you do in the evening? Would you go out? Would you be cooking dinner? What activities would you like to do? What would help you unwind? What would be that perfect ritual? Would you run a bath every other day? Would you like to read? Like what it is. And obviously I'm aware that each day may be different, but this is where we're talking about the super ideal day, okay? Like super ideal day where you're like, oh my God, this day was perfect. Can we like frame it? Okay. Then I want you to think, what exciting plans are you currently working towards? What do you have in a pipeline when it comes to travel, when it comes to your, work plans? Are you planning to attend a conference? Are you planning to organize a conference? What it is that you think you would excite you to be working towards? Then I want you to think, what and how do you feel as your day is going towards the end? What kind of emotions would you like to have? What is your state of mind? What thoughts would you like to be thinking about yourself and your day and your life when you're ending and wrapping up your day? Then I want you to think what amazing goals and achievements you managed to hit during your perfect day. It could be anything. It could be financial, it could be work-wise, it could be relationship-wise, it could be buying a nice dress. I don't know what tickles your fancy, right? Just be honest with yourself. Don't write down what you think you should be liking and wanting. You don't even have to share this list with anyone. This is for you to get to know yourself and allow yourself to want what you want, to love what you love. I really don't want you to hold back here. Just add whatever comes, make things up. Dream big, dream authentic. Notice how your body reacts to these ideas, where you light up, where you get a surge of energy, where you feel excited. That's the right direction. Whenever you feel like you're answering a question and you feel like your energy is dropping, or you're getting bored, or you have an urge to do something else, this is where it's sort of a red flag for you to inspect what you're writing down, because the chances are the answer is not yours or it's not authentic. That's when we feel disconnected, and that's where we're like, oh, maybe I should wash curtains right now because I can finish this worksheet later. I think I should clean my windows. I can finish this later, right? This is sort of where I want you to stop and be like, hold on, what was the answer that I was just giving? Because it is a clue for you there. So write all of this down, and once you're finished, ask yourself which out of these items and aspects and elements can already be implemented now, today, because the chances are that you are not that far off from your perfect day already. Like when I told you the things that I enjoy, that I need to have a perfect day, actually a lot of them I could have even implemented when I was still at the corporate, right? So I feel like a lot of us are stopping ourselves from living this perfect life because we're like, but when I quit my job, when I do this, right? We're pushing that goal and making it impossible for ourselves to enjoy our current reality. But really, there are very, very simple things that we can introduce now without committing too much change to like invite such different energy and improvement and sense of progress into our lives. And don't forget to share your perfect day with me because I love hearing from you guys. So please do so. And on that note, I'm going to be loving you and leaving you here. Wish you a great week and speak to you soon. Bye. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you're finding this content valuable, please subscribe and leave a review. And if you'd like to take this work further, schedule your first call so we could mastermind together on how to get your career and your life back on track. Can't wait to meet you.